flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, we have the minutes of the meeting of August 12th. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes as mailed?
One minute.
Sorry. Discussion. Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. We have the approval of the claims. Move it. Discussion. Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
I'd say. Did you get that back?
Yep.
Item number 3 is the approval of the memorandum of personnel transactions. I will pass that around for signatures.
I move on it.
Second.
Okay. Discussion. Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, we have the presentation for the bids for courthouse safety security cameras. Ed, do you have
Yes.
that information for us?
I did a short summary of the bids. Go ahead and pass those around. And it's essentially, we had 4 bids. We had one from electronic engineering. The electronic engineering failed to follow the instructions for the request for quote, so we discarded that.
Okay.
We had the TSI company out of Mason City that came in at $32,991. We had 2 good bids. We had a bid from Quality. Their bid, when you added the basic materials, potential labor costs, the optional camera, which we're recommending, and the labor for that camera, their total was $16,028. That was with a 3-year warranty. Electric Innovations with all materials, the labor, optional camera included, was $11,542. That's with the 3-year warranty. There's an option for a 5-year warranty. We'd recommend that based on what the folks from WCICC have told us is the likely life of the cameras and associated materials. That would be an additional $2,300. You don't have to do that, but I would suggest if you don't, add the 4th and 5th year warranty that we plan to line item potential replacement in those years, just as a thought. We had a lot of help from WCICC, I can't say enough. They were invaluable in looking at this. We were able to observe an older version of the cameras that are proposed, and the pictures were excellent. We could see people in a variety of light conditions and see them very clearly. They also will integrate this into the system so that you can sort of designated people will be able to view this on their computer monitor.
Wow.
So it will be really excellent system. And again, just can't say enough about WCICC and their help.
Good.
Mike had also did a great job with it too. Has helped really spearhead this. So obviously we're recommending Electronic Innovations, some vendor that's local, that the people here in the courthouse are very familiar with and very comfortable with.
Okay. Discussion?
I don't see any storage.
Their storage was part of it, and they had a number of they'd be stated in their terabytes. I believe it was 3 terabytes of storage. So we're not going to have any problem with 30 days storage. We'll be able to burn disks if we have an incident. We'll be able to go back, review it, and burn essentially a CD, and then have that as a permanent record. So
I think if you're going to get the 4th and 5th year for $2,300, you're still less than quality. You should take that. I think we should take
I think it's good.
the warranty.
There's 2 motions, one on the bid and one on the
would say so, yes, because warranty is certainly an option, but it's not,
Can I move electric innovations of $11,542.08?
Second?
Okay.
That's the bid.
That's the bid.
That's
Okay.
it.
Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
I'd like to make a motion to take the warranty for the 4th and 5th year at 2,300.
Second, is that for both years or is that 2,300 a year?
that's for both years. It's 10% per year, 10% of the original bid per year.
Okay. Any further discussion of the addition for the additional 2 years? Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. When is the starting date, and when will they start?
We'll notify them this afternoon, and
Uh-huh.
we'll try to get it in here just as quickly as possible.
Okay.
We want to have everything up and running again before the Tuesday after Labor Day is the latest.
Mhm.
We're hoping to have it the day before.
Okay, wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. Okay, we have item 4, which is the county sheriff. We have the discussion of nursing staffing concerns.
It's Mercy Deb with, she wrote a letter stating her concerns. I think we've all seen the letter, and we're kind of at a near crisis mode, I think, is the concerns that Mercy has, and we don't want to lose our contract with Mercy. They have some great concerns. I think after you read the letter, if you have some questions, but I could bring some of these up. Their concerns were the amount of manpower, the long hours, the acuity of care. We are dealing with, I think that contract that we signed was back several years, and the inmate population has increased so much that they're not able to keep up with it. So they are very concerned about dispensing or working with the patients. Also, just we have had a number of mental health issues that are in our jail, which I've said on a number of occasions they don't belong in our jail, but somehow we end up with them in our jail. This is an issue for all of us, is that we have become the dispensing place for the mentally ill. It's the last place that they need to be is in a jail. I think we can all agree to that.
Absolutely.
So it's how are we going to fix this problem? And I just, Deb and some of the nurses here, just to maybe shine a little more light on it.
Well, the mental illness definitely is a factor. Most of our medications are psych meds. And of course, you know, you don't just give a pill and walk away. There has to be some monitoring, vital signs, that type of thing. A lot of charting, and that all takes quite a bit of time. We also have some suicidal patients which have been trying to harm themselves. Most recently, we had one that had to be restrained, which required a nurse to check on them every 2 hours to assess and evaluate. So we had to have a nurse stay, around the clock. So we have that issue going on as well, which leads to an extreme amount of overtime. And the overtime is mounting, and this also leaves our nurses in a bad situation as far as, staying on top of things, being mentally sharp. They're doing the best they can, but if you're working an extreme amount of hours, we all know what happens then. And as far as safety for everyone, the inmates, the nurses, jailers, just to help everybody out, we would like to request more hours. Right now we only have 2.5 nurses, and we need more than that. Our part-time nurse has over 40 hours a week right now too, just trying to keep up, so the county is paying quite a bit of overtime. So,
Deb, out of, let's say, 180 inmates, how many of those inmates do you have to provide medications for, provide that kind of attention to, let's say on a monthly basis? Is it like Go ahead.
I'll let these two answer that question.
Okay.
At least,
And would you identify yourselves, please?
my name is Perla, I'm one of the full-time nurses.
Why don't you step
My name is Perla Solis, I'm the RN, full-time nurse.
Okay.
This is David Stoltz,
Right.
one of the registered full-time nurses as well.
Okay.
We usually about 70 to 85% of the inmates take medications.
And most of those are
Psych meds, ma'am.
psych meds?
Yes.
You would say 90% of the 75% is
Yes,
psych
ma'am.
Yes.
And recently, we've had some really extreme cases. I don't know if it's summer. I don't think so. It's been a pattern. We've had people that are literally trying to pull veins out of their arms so they can get out of here and go to the hospital. I mean, it's bizarre behavior. And it is because of some mental illness. And but some of those people are facing such charges that we can't get them out of the jail. We've worked with PJ to try to get those people that we could get released. We have somebody in the hospital now with, I believe something to do with his lungs and heart that we're paying for. That I would have loved to have been able to get released, but we're just not able to get released. So our medical bill keeps going up for hospitalization, and for Mercy's care and concerns, we're just kind of.
Dave, I was going to ask, I know we started a program a few years back called the Compass Program, and I'm sure that Jim Ritzman's out there in the audience. Are you still working in that particular program and trying to get some of these folks up? You say you're working with
Yes.
PJ, which is great, because the county attorney was very important when we started that program, and trying to relieve that kind of pressure, particularly with the mentally ill.
Right.
But if they've committed a crime that won't permit us to release them, then that's a different story.
Right. That's somewhat what we're up against, the seriousness of the crimes. And then they're facing some tremendous amount of time federally. So they just, the worst place to be is in a county jail. It seems as if they get to prison, they realize, well, I'm here. But during that time, the county jail is not a good environment for them, and they're trying to do anything they can to get out. And it just ups the work for the nursing staff. And it's a great concern, and I know it is for all of us. And that's,
How many hours a week overtime are you having to put in?
It might vary, but it depends on the acuity of the patients. This week, I should only work 40, and this is Tuesday. Sorry, with all the hours. Tuesday, I probably already got at least 35 hours in 2 days. As the sheriff alluded to, we've had some people that we've had to put in the chair, which is the restraint chair. And as stated, a nurse has to be, every 2 hours has to assess. So with the staff we have, it is not adequate. So we have to put a chart or whatever together, and we 3 nurses have to, figure out a schedule, and it causes overtime.
What is the length of stay, Dave, with a lot of these inmates that we're talking about here, depending on their charges that's brought against them?
well, some of it up to 6 months. Sure like to get them out as soon as we can. And, but of course, now another subject I'm sure we'll talk about a little later is with this murder trial going on. It's exhausting. Everybody's after, it's a whole bunch of things going on, and I kind of see a pattern. And I don't think it's going away. We sure like it when it's quiet, but it's been a while. And, I think it's an issue that we really need to address and get out in front of. And,
I agree with you.
My fear is that Mercy says, you know what, we're not going to be in this contract anymore, and then we'll be in big trouble. We had tried years ago, and unsuccessful. I think whatever sheriff it was, Sheriff Barrett or Amy, who came up and the board to contract with the hospital is a better choice than hiring 3 or 4 RNs. Because what will happen is you'll get them for a while and they'll say, I can go make something different, so we lose them. with Mercy, it's a better fit for the county as a whole.
I had the opportunity to talk to a psychiatrist that worked for the state prison system a few years back. And he told me that 40% of the people in the state prisons are mentally ill, which allows him to see them once every 3 to 4 months. So the whole system's broken. And then we have this issue with if they are mentally ill and on some kind of addictive drug or whatever, the two don't go together.
Right.
So they can't be put in a mental health service if they're on drugs.
Right.
It's crazy because all of them are on some kind of drugs.
Well,
The system's pretty much broke.
I agree. Our biggest problem for our jail staff and nursing is where are we going to place a subject that has some mental issues? We don't want to put them with another, a couple people, because then we're going to have all kinds of problems. We're running out of space to keep them separated. And so then we're doubling up in areas and that becomes issues. And so I appreciate Deb and the nursing staff. They put in tremendous amount of hours. I think we just need to somehow look at how we can help them in getting additional hours or people.
How many additional hours are you talking about, Deb and Dave, to kind of relieve the pressure here relative to this, situation?
If we remain at the census, like right now, it's been over 200 inmates, and if we remain at that, we feel that we'd like 2 nurses for each shift to handle things. We have diabetic patients, and the medications that they're on as well. There's a lot of phone calls involved with that. When someone is going federal marshal, there's a lot of prep going to get that.
Detoxers.
I will share this, that I am working hard in trying to get with the judges. There is new equipment, bracelets that they can wear that are obviously GPS.
That's
and
good.
If I can get some of them to stay at home instead of being housed in our jail, that's going to benefit us as a whole.
Sure would. That's a good option.
So we're trying, but once again, that's one of the things we just keep kicking the can down the road until we.
So we currently have how many nurses now there?
2 full-time.
2 full-time, and we're asking for 2 more based on this situation. Okay. We'll have to get with Dennis to see what that's gonna cost. I know that we don't have anything appropriated in the budget for this fiscal year, as you know, but we probably have to do some amendment to the budget, to resolve this particular issue. But that's our worry, that's not yours. We just have to determine how we're gonna do this. Oh, yes, I'm going on, I'm gonna have to. But anyway, why don't you go back and see, I'll bring you back up. I've got a time, agenda item here I've got to get through, and then we'll bring you back.
We support this, obviously, that's all I want to say.
Okay.
We still have people going into the jail.
Yeah.
We're still in our people on Friday.
Okay.
But what's happening is you have more and more people with major mental illnesses.
I want to hear from you, Jim Moore, so don't leave.
Oh, okay.
Don't leave.
Okay.
Yeah, have a time set. Okay. Let's move on to the public bidding portion of the agenda. We have a sale of property for 004755 at 117 Street, Unit A. Is there anyone in the audience to be heard against or in favor of the sale? If not, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Motion, close the hearing.
Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Now we'd like to place this item up for sale. Is there anyone to bid on this piece of property?
117 6th Street.
Anybody here?
Okay, no one's here to bid on that piece of property. Let's move on to hearing on sale of property at 004740 at 117 Sioux Street, Unit B. Is there anyone here to speak in favor or against the sale of this piece of property?
If you're hearing me close.
Okay.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, is there anyone here to bid on that piece of property?
I don't see Jim France, so
I don't either. All right, there's no one to bid, so the sale of the property is closed. And we'll come back to C and D, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I'd like to get back to item number 4 again. And this again, the nursing situation in the jail. Mr. Rixner, you have a comment you want to make?
Yes, Jim Rexner, the mental health sector. We still have all the programs going. The mental health court continues, Project Compass continues, Project Phoenix continues, or this would be much worse. And we know that. Unfortunately, what's happening is that more and more individuals with a combination of mental illness and some case substance abuse who are committing violent crimes. And that's what's happening in the jail right now. And it's really a difficult situation. You may all remember that we had Dr. Brink going into the jail every Friday morning with one of our nurses. Well, Dr. Brink is no longer with us.
I didn't know that.
He had serious disability and had to leave. So we have Charles Tilley, who's an excellent PA, worked in Winnebago for many years, excellent man. Charles Tilley and one of our nurses still go in every Friday morning and to deal with the individuals who cannot come out of the jail. This doesn't work for the mental health court, etc. But the numbers keep growing. And so I just came down to support the sheriff's effort here because the individuals we're talking about, both with medical conditions as well as mental health conditions, do need some serious monitoring attention. Their conditions will get worse. The unfortunate part is despite all the efforts of redesign, some of you will be in Mars this afternoon at the regional meeting, and I'll be in attendance as well. We don't have a solution to this particular problem right now in the regional effort. We're going to be dealing with emergency care. We're going to be dealing with any number of changes in the mental health system. But the reality of people who commit crimes and happen to have a mental illness and happen to be in the jail is probably not going to change in the immediate future. And that's the reality. We very much care about the care and treatment of the people who are in the jail who have a mental illness, as well as the safety of the staff. So I just wanted to lend our support to the sheriff's office.
I appreciate it.
And is the percentage changing as far as the ones that are in there with mental illness? Or is it pretty much status quo and it's the numbers causing the problem?
Well, it's a combination where it's, our numbers have increased, but with that comes these mental health issues that are tagging along with the numbers. It's just,
Do you keep data on that? I mean, to compare percentage-wise, because that is a good point. I ordered that myself.
Yeah,
If the percentage has changed, or if it's just that there's more, because you have had high numbers for.
Oh, we've had,
I mean, every week we go, whoa, what's
Yeah,
going on?
we're
So I'm
at
glad you're here because we've been.
yeah, we're at
really
231.
well.
Maybe the nurses can answer that question better than you do.
I would just, to Mark's comment, we have tried to get a few of these inmates at least assigned to the Iowa medical classification in Oakdale before they're sentenced because they have, but the problem is they're full. So we have petitioned, we've asked if we could get them moved, and they're full. So we're on a waiting list, and it's a year. So
I heard a couple months ago that there was a young man who beat up the staff at Mercy, beat up the staff at Loops, beat up the staff at the jail. What do you do with that guy?
Well, I was there that night, and actually, that night he ended up going to St. Luke's and he got medication, which then they in turn brought him to jail. They thought that he was going to be okay. He went back to the section, and then that's where he self-harmed himself. So then we had to put him in the restraint chair, and we had to wait there and call EMS again to send him back to the hospital.
The moral of the story is nobody wants him.
Right.
There is no
That's-
place for this
that's
guy.
it. Right. And
So after he went back to the hospital the second time, I mean,
they
how
gave him
does,
some more medication.
do they restrain them there?
Yes, we had to take
Because
literally
he
this
could
chair.
endanger himself?
If we take him in the restraint chair,
Uh-huh.
which we only have one, and we probably need to more look at getting about 2 or 3 more.
And to answer one of your questions, you guys were asking about the percentages, it's actually increased. Due to the new drugs like bath salts and the heavy potent drugs that we have out there, it's more long-term for these people. So if they use it even one time, it can affect them the rest of their lives. And that's what we're dealing with, is more psychosis with just the street drugs that are out there that are.
Is that an illegal drug?
No, it's a very potent, and for instance, that gentleman, we believe was under that influence, like, I mean, it's kind of similar to like PCP, but it's just human strength.
And I wanted to add to that, because I think we need to be careful we don't start stigmatizing people with mental illness as well, criminals, okay? I always say that, I don't need to say it in front of this crowd, but I'll say it publicly. There are people in the jail who have mental illness, who need attention, and many of those people who need special attention can be found. But that's an extreme minority of the people that we work with. We need to figure out some short-term solutions. The long-term solutions are the ones we're talking about in the regionalization. The short-term right now is to take better care of these people in the situation they should not be in to begin with. And you're absolutely right. You know, the street drugs and meth itself, you know, mimic psychotic behavior. So the numbers are probably going up as a result of drug abuse and the effect that that drug abuse has had on people's brains, in addition to people with chronic mental illness. So it's a serious issue, a very serious issue. But we'll make progress.
Well, you know, they've been talking about the hours. That the unfortunate thing is, you know, I used to work there. There was times we'd call them 5, 6, 7 times a night, waking them up, and they just got home.
Yes.
And the only reason is because we can't diagnose it. So we call them, give them what we got, and then they have to turn around and tell us, by not even being there, say, well, do that, do that. So they need more staff.
It's been a while since I've had a tour. I noticed that was offered up, maybe taking a tour. I would be.
More than welcome.
Yes.
That would be
I mean,
great.
yeah.
I mean, I think it would be just an eye opener for, I don't know. if anyone else
You know, part of the
wants to go.
solution too, as you say, is right now, is adding some more, professional staff there. And I think I would agree with that. But I also think, you made another point, Dave, as far as segregating or separating these folks from other inmates in the facility.
Right.
And I'm not sure if we have a big enough facility for that at this particular time, if this population is growing. So we may have to look at retrofitting some other facility that we own for that separation, because they should not be mixed, as you alluded to, with the regular population.
And our women population is really
It's growing.
grown. And they have some issues also, and we're running out of space to put them separately with the other population. And that's probably been the biggest rise, I think, is the women in jail.
I would make one other suggestion. I think it's also important to have dialogue with both hospitals and Cherokee to talk about the appropriateness of admissions into their hospitals. There are situations where people end up in jail who could be hospitalized.
Is that right?
Now, some of the people in the most,
Right.
but there are situations, we've had personal involvement with the jail in trying to get people into the hospitals appropriately. So I think some dialogue with Mercy, St. Luke's, and Cherokee about how some of these people could be treated more appropriately rather than being in jail would be useful as well.
I would take that suggestion very seriously, and we would probably want to include, Jim, our judges in that particular meeting too, when we bring those CEOs.
Actually, there is a group already that exists that Lisa McNeil has on a quarterly basis.
Right. And continue.
That's where I heard about the young gentleman who like to meet people up.
And right now, our part-time nurse is working 40-plus hours a week, so if we would make her full-time and then hire an additional nurse, that would be a big step in the right direction, which would actually only be 1.5 nurses technically, and she's already working overtime as it is.
but she's part-time now.
Right.
And we make her full-time
Yeah.
and add one additional person. Okay. Well, I know that,
Rotate with the hospital. I mean, if you have a need to be gone for a week, does the hospital backfill for you?
No.
No,
Yikes.
That's why we need,
Reason being, a lot of it, hospital nursing and jail nursing, two totally different ballgames. Totally different. And just the training alone, normally, when we get a new nurse, we shadow them for almost a month, just all of the different policies and all the different rules and the regulations that we have to follow just for the jail as well as us nurses and mercy, just together.
We're grateful for our nurses, because I imagine that you didn't go into nursing. Some people ever thinking I'd be in the jail, but I am fortunate that we have people that are that dedicated that want to do that. Same with those that come from the mental health profession, to come up and work and see them in our jail, because without them, I'm telling you, it's a tough place already, but it's even worse.
well, I don't think the board's ready to give any definite answers, this morning. But this has been an excellent presentation, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate the information that you got to us, Dan.
Thank you for your time.
About this.
Thank you.
And what you do is very, very valuable to us in the county and the public at large. I would like to have this, after we discuss it with our financial person and how we can make some adjustments, which I think we're going to have to make, to resolve this issue right now. I think this is going to be an answer to part of the problem, but I think that we're going to have to go in more depth in looking at this, because it's a problem, as you all alluded to, it's a problem that's not going to go away. I mean, this is going to be with us, for a long, long time in our society, because it stratifies down not only with those individuals that are inmates in our jail, but it stratifies to our normal, quote, society as adults and also children, because we deal with that, as we know, on an everyday basis here. So it's not going to go away.
We need numbers on this.
Yeah, if you would, get us some numbers on, what we talked about here, this morning, that would really be helpful for us to make a really final decision on this. And I would like to see it probably put back on the agenda for us to make a decision on within the next week or 2 weeks, so that we can get a handle on it, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm concerned you're undershooting this. Work people 3 shifts a day, 3 shifts a day, 7 days a week. If you got it figured out, that's fine, but
Well, that's if it would be 24/7 nursing. We're not really asking for that now. It'd be nice to get it. We don't, basically, we provide from 6 in the morning till 8:30 at night. That's our norm. But, well, maybe norm's not the right word, but that's what we're scheduled for.
we always go
They're not
past
around.
8:30. We were there yesterday, we were there till 11:30, and I was scheduled to be off at 8:30.
And that's in another,
That's,
where
Right.
we really need, because in the later evening is when some
Yes.
of our other problems arise.
Yeah.
They're there at 6 because they have to be there for that time to check charts, read, and do all those things. That's why, if we could somehow keep them till 3 in the morning, another staff, or maybe a 3-hour lapse, but yeah, ideally down the road, 3-4 year plan or whatever, if you ever got to 24/7 nursing, that is the goal that we should set ourselves to, because.
Well, that's why I put this
all
on,
counties-
that's why I put this on the speed dial, as far as I'm
Right.
concerned.
Thank
Because we've got to do something now and not wait, because the problem's not going to go away.
County jails our size all have that, and we need to
Okay.
get good at that. Thank you.
And they're on call all the time, but the hours are set up that way because of the meds that are dispensed.
Absolutely.
That's a typical,
Yeah,
covers the med runs, so.
I appreciate this. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Let's go back to item, yes, Dennis?
In relation to this, obviously it's gonna cost more money. We do not have any more money, except reserves.
We need to put on a fast track here with our county attorney, the suspension program that we've heard numbers as high as $100,000 a month. If the county attorney doesn't have the ability to do it, or have the manpower to do it, let's hire somebody, or he can delegate that responsibility to the sheriff, as they have done in Lynn County.
That's a good idea.
We're at a point, we have to get this thing moving to generate revenue. We can't keep raising taxes we don't have the ability to. So I'd like to request, if it's possible, to have a county attorney come down and explain if he can do it or he can't do it, and get this thing rolling. We've talked about it for a year. We're talking generating potentially $100,000 a month, $1 million per year. The board can allocate some of that money back to the sheriff to solve our problem with the nursing problem. And if they need more help, we'll have the ability to give them more help. But we have to get more revenue, and this program has to get going. They have in Plymouth County, we have people going to Plymouth County. County attorney does it up there, because it's probably a lower scale. But here, the way I understand it, they can confirm this for you. In Lynn County, the county attorney did delegate this over to the sheriff for them to do, and they're collecting a lot of money down there. We're missing the boat.
Well, let's visit with the county attorney about that, and maybe you and I, Dave.
I know he's been busy with a couple murders.
Yes.
He promised me that.
Yeah, plus with you, and that's
Yeah.
another issue coming up with overtime. I saw that
Right.
on television last
Yes,
night, that
yeah.
with the overtime being spent, and we've got another murder trial coming up, there's
Yeah.
gonna be additional time spent there too. So
Exactly.
we got-
But
we got
something we
to-
need to get going as soon as possible.
I had somebody ask me a couple months ago about where this was. I can't remember who it was, but they were interested in running it for us for a fee.
Right.
And I sent them to PJ and you. I don't know if they ever appeared.
I never did. PJ is the sole holder of if he wants to give it to someone else or to a third-party collection agency. He's the one that decides that. He's assured me that once these trials are done, he's gonna get the ball rolling, because I just talked to him the other day at the trial.
Okay.
I brought that concern.
Did you really?
up.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
So he will, I believe.
All right, excellent.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, let's go on back to item number 5. We've got C to notice for sale of property 623925. That's time date set on that.
Move to place this on the agenda for the second day of September 10/15.
Second.
Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Item D, which is the property 624945.
Move to place it on the second day of September at 10/17.
Second.
Discussion. Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, we have, moving on to item 6, is approval of 2 resolutions thanking and commending years of service. I think I passed that around for signatures already, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move on to item number 7, county treasurer. This is an abatement.
You need to make 2 motions.
Oh, 2 motions on it, I'm sorry, you're right.
Motion. Okay, go ahead.
Move to approve recognition of Kevin West.
Second.
Okay, discussion. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. We need one on Ronald Yule.
Move it. Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Thank you for the correction. Do we need to do these approval of resolutions for abatements on an individual basis?
Yes.
I would move for the approval resolution for tax abatement for JS.
Second.
Okay, discussion. Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed.
Oh, I love this one. I move we abate the taxes for the United States of America.
Second.
Did we get a second on that?
Yes.
Yes. Discussion. Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
We
Item
have
C.
resolution for tax payment for NC.
Second.
Okay, discussion. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Item D.
I'm JD.
Second.
Discussion. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Approval of resolution on item E.
Move to abate for KA and JM.
Second.
Okay, discussion. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Item F.
Resolution for tax abatement for 3M National Advance Company.
Second.
Discussion. Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Item G.
Move to abate for WH.
Second.
Okay. Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We have item 8, building services, with discussion and decision on the comparative prices for alarm systems.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have 3 bids here. I'll open up. First bid is from Electric Innovations. Electric Innovations for Trosper Hoyt comes at $34,822.46. For Woodbury County Courthouse, their bid is $30,745.87. For the Law Enforcement Center is $41,030.63. That was Electric Innovations.
How much is Trosper Hoyt?
34,822.46.
I have from Stokes Electric. Replace fire alarm panel in the Woodbury County Courthouse, $28,980 even.
That's for the courthouse?
Yes.
Okay.
Replace panel in the Law Enforcement Center. It was $39,800 even. $39,800. And to replace the fire alarm panel in Trosper Hoyt is $32,965.
What's that figure again?
32,000.
32,000? Yeah. And what? 32,000 what?
No.
965.
965, okay.
Then I have Lewis Electric here. Woodbury County Courthouse to replace the panel is $27,900 from Lewis Electric. For the LEC panel would be $39,000 even. And for Trosper Hoyt, the fire panel is $32,000.
Okay.
Got it, Mark?
Yes, yeah.
We'll refer these bids to building superintendent for recommendation.
Okay, give it a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Can you have an answer back for us next week? All right. Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, item number 9 is planning and zoning, John.
Morning.
Morning.
Got a couple issues this morning. First of all, Vonda Antonsen wants to replat Lot 2 in her current location location of a residence on the south side of 210th Street, sale to a family member for construction of a new single-family dwelling. Zoning Commission met, held a public hearing, recommending certain plat changes which have occurred and are in the platting you're getting provided, as well as the recording of the paving agreement. Staff recommendation is identical to that of the Zoning Commission. We recommend approval. We would ask you accept, approve the final plat, and authorize your chairman's signature thereon.
Move it.
Second.
Discussion. Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Next item is Lauren Fowler. Basically runs a trucking company, small in nature at this point anyway. He wishes to build an accessory structure to meet the home occupation testing within our ordinances, which means all his equipment, vehicles, et cetera, have to be enclosed in a structure because they can't be visible from roadway, right-of-way, or any other parcel. He needs a separate drive to do that on this lot, so he has to go through a minor subdivision process to get that extra lot established. He'd like to do that from the west side of Franklin Avenue. We would ask you take the preliminary plat forward to the Zoning Commission for recommendation.
Second.
Discussion.
Is that new house that was built on
Fairly
20?
house, that's home.
Yeah.
Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, John. Mark, secondary roads. You've got a pretty light agenda here.
Yes, it's an easy one this week, I hope.
Yeah.
Scheller Telephone is requesting a permit to run fiber optic cable along County Road L43. It showed L37, but they actually mean L43, the Cushing Blacktop. And we have no objections to the project. We'll run partway along Highway 20 and then jack and board through Highway 20 and then south along our right of way.
Okay.
Move it.
Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
I had the opportunity to drive on Allison, 35 to 25 yesterday. Good shape.
We've been working hard at it, but that rain made it a little difficult.
Mark, I'll hand this back to him.
There's a lot of traffic out there as our employment is picking up. So that's the good thing, more employment. Bad thing is a lot of traffic.
How's Barker?
Barker, they were out on it last week. And, some of the good news with that is we've got 2 applications to transfer to that territory, so we should end up with a gap. Want to visit with you about that a little later.
Okay. Good. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Okay, last item. Any individual wishing to make a presentation on an item not on the agenda? Dennis?
We're back again.
Back again?
Okay, we did hand out a form here that shows, they made up, shows the overtime for this trial, this double murder trial upstairs. And there are gonna be additional costs. We're making the board aware of this. It's being paid out transport, I understand. And that's a fund that we don't have a whole lot of funds in because we've always kept them low there. But these are costs that the board has no control of, or really the sheriff doesn't have any control of because they are special circumstances. When you have these high profile trials, you have to have individuals sitting there. At this point, they even have to escort the jurors to the parking lot for safety. Wow. Dave, you go on with that?
Yeah, we were requested by the judge to have additional security. And what we have been doing is, making adjustments and doing everything we can to cover this. But as the day progresses, those that are assigned to transport or court security have different jobs. So just because we have this high profile murder trial doesn't mean the other jobs stop. So then we bring in additional people, and unfortunately today my numbers are just a little higher than they were because as of last week it ended up being 199.75 hours, which computed to $7,610 for the trial. And we moved people everywhere we could to cover for this trial, and unfortunately we have one in another week. So those numbers that you had that I sent, I believe yesterday, had Jennifer redo them and make sure, and she added everybody up through yesterday. So what we wanted to do for Dennis and for Gene in the auditor's office is to get a clearer picture of where our money is being spent. And so we thought, let's just take it out of transport court security, because that is where that action is taking place. Even though some of these may be deputies, it is from that division that's requiring that all go to that area. So that gives you a clearer picture of where we're at. I shared with Dennis, and I think there's been a trend that we've probably been averaging about 3 to 4 of these a year. These are gang-related murders or involving a number of defendants that may be affiliated with gang activity. And that's going to require additional resources versus the other trials that may take place in the courthouse. So just wanted you to be aware of this.
So you've got another high profile one coming.
You're right after Labor Day.
Wow.
Yeah. So you can figure that's probably in the ballpark of the next trial. I hope he pleads, but
Yeah.
I think PJ does.
Be cheaper on the
It'd be a lot cheaper.
taxpayer, yeah.
And so when we look at budgets that's coming up here, you'll notice the overtime in the correction, or in the court security will be higher than what it is, and he'll have a breakdown of how much of the overage is this cost here.
Right. So do you anticipate, I mean, we're right at $7,000 on this trial already.
Right, I would say well, they have closing arguments. What do we have left? Closing arguments?
Closing arguments and jury instructions.
And knowing the judge, he will keep the jury till later in the evening, most nights. So that will, if I can bring reserves in, I'll bring reserves in. You know, if we can get somebody, because we have a couple extra on a patrol shift to bring in, but you know, we're running short-handed, somebody's hurt or somebody's out, that's where we're at. So it just gives you an idea.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Dennis.
Thanks.
Anyone else, board members?
Discuss with you about the gaming revenue grant program, which the folks recently talked about. I wasn't here during that discussion, but Dennis has provided with me a copy of the grant program and the way it works. And, I recently got from a constituent, a well-respected constituent, an inquiry about if there's going to be a committee that's going to be established. I don't know what the feeling is on that. So how is that going to work as far as when you look at these different proposals that will come to you?
Well, Dennis can step up, but we passed a policy a few weeks ago on how that was going to work in reviewing those nonprofits, Pat, that would qualify under, that we are currently funding, and others that might apply that would want funds. And Dennis, you want to go from
Okay,
there?
what we've done, we've already had one new person already from a nonprofit apply or ask for the booklet, and they can ask for it anytime from now up through November 1st. We'll also do some kind of news release letting people know the time period, so about a month before that. So if there are people out there, such as the ones we are currently funding, or any new ones, they'll have the opportunity to get the pamphlet, the booklet, procedures, and fill it out. They'll have to return to me November 1st, I believe that's the date, December 15th in that area, that they'll return it to the board office. And when it reaches the board office, Karen and myself will review it just to make sure they've answered all the questions going down. After that's done, after 15th, we'll put together in a packet some of this, all the different agencies that are applying, and then you'll have the opportunity to look at them, you know, score them, however you want to set up a scoring system, and then you'll decide from there.
So the board's going to do that. There isn't going to be a committee?
Currently, there is no committee plan. Now, Lynn County, that's how they handle it down. Lynn County comes to them. I don't believe they have a committee, but they have, the board looks at them and they say who gets it. It will devise some kind of a point system on a major question. There's like 6 major questions there. And you'll do that between December 15th and review between December 15th and January and come up with decisions either at the end of January or first part of February. We're only talking of the gaming revenues grants, not the tax supported items. They're two different deals.
What's gonna happen with the tax support?
What?
With the tax support, what is gonna be the procedure there?
Right now, we have two. One is handled by Juvenile Prevention Committee. They make the decision after the allocation is made by the board to the committee. And then on the other one, the board determines that on needs assessment, such as, I believe, the Phoenix program and the Sanford Center, the two.
When I was looking through this, a couple of things came to my attention. The Board of Supervisors may request a representative from the organization to attend a public meeting to relate the progress toward the completion of the program and the project at any time. And then the other thing was under the assurances, item 8 is that the awarded funds the applicant will, upon request by Woodbury County, provide an accounting of all expenditures and grant funds.
Okay, now that item, particularly item 8, I did have the county attorney's office, Joshua, review this, and that was the suggestion he had us put in there. That's the last item there where the board could request.
And so, can you explain to me how that's going to happen or how you're going to implement that?
Okay, on the grant funds, it's whoever the board determines, and they can do this for all of them that actually apply, you can request that. That's the option the board does have. We also require a financial statement, which we have in the past years also, that it's an audit financial statement turned in, which shows their income and expenditures. But for the purposes, I didn't have it originally, but Joshua suggested we do put it in there, so the board does have the option to ask Meals on Wheels or Dimension Center, 4 Dimension Center, whatever. They have the option to ask them for the accountability of all the funds.
Right, the purpose of that is to ensure that the funds are being used for what the application said it was going to be used for, and just a means of requiring documentation.
For those expenditures.
Right, if we want to do that.
Are these entities, are they subject to some sort of audit?
I think they're under a certain dollar amount, they are not. Because I know off the landfill for under 100,000 revenue, they are not subject to audit.
How about those other taxpayer, tax dollar entities?
I believe they are all audited, because I think the Sanford Center has a financial audit, and I believe the Phoenix program, the Jackson Recovery has an audit.
Does the county have access to those?
We haven't got them, but we can get them.
I guess when I was reading through this and looking at it, it's because during the budget presentation, we discussed new duties that the auditor received over a year ago. And during that time, I requested $10,000 to do some sort of, to start to implement a internal audit procedure and those type of things, to do some training and to implement that type of program. And during that time, the discussion was is that Supervisor Smith talked about maybe they were going to take that out of the code because it was put in at the last minute. But there was no discussion about that this year to take that out. I believe that's here to stay, that section of the code. It says, according to the duties of the auditor shall, and it said, have the authority to audit at the auditor's discretion the financial condition and transaction of all county funds and accounts for compliance with state and federal law. And there was, the discussion was very short, made a motion, got rid of the $10,000. That was the end of the discussion, said we'll bring it up again next year. But when I was looking through this, it brought to my attention is that, this is the time that we should be having this discussion about how we're going to audit those things. Because you can go through, I just did a quick search of the minutes, and you put contributions or things like that in the minutes. You can see where you've made lots of contributions to people who come in and ask for money from the board. And there's never any insurance. In fact, there's one that was really questionable 2 years ago. Is that of what happens to that money once it leaves. And that's why, with these duties, because it was always the auditors we all talked about is that why we were called auditors if we didn't have the ability to audit. And now we do have the ability to audit. And I think that we need your support and cooperation to start to implement some of those plans, to deal with issues just like this. On this and the other, those type of entities, to make sure that the public's assured that the dollars that you're giving those folks are being used in the way that.
So you want to audit those agencies that might receive funds? You want to audit their books? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I want to look at things that they take. I'm not talking about full law, but I'm talking about internal controls and procedures to look at those type of things. Because that's what that language gives us the ability to do. And it's not being done currently.
Well, Pat, that is a function of your office, that this board certainly wouldn't stand in the way of you doing it.
But you didn't give me the money, Larry.
Well, you never gave us a breakdown of what you needed.
Then that's what.
See, that we're all on a little shaky ground here, and there has to be some cooperation. You just
Absolutely, that's what I'm asking for.
Yeah, you just can't come and say I need $10,000. You're gonna have to justify it.
You didn't even ask for it. You made the motion to remove that last time without even that discussion.
It was brand new, Pat.
All right.
And you never made the case for it either.
Okay, now, but this is what I want to do, is start the discussion now. So that we can get
Yeah,
this-
and that's fine, and it is a function of your office, and all you have to do is put a budget together. You need $5, you need $5,000,
Right.
and that's all the board.
That's what I want to bring to your attention.
Right, that's the only action
Next
we
year.
would take on that.
Well, no, I need your support too.
Well, you've always had that, so that's not a problem.
This
Yeah, I
is
think-
over and above what our, I'm just trying to understand the auditing thing, what our audit firm does?
I think
I mean,
The audit
would
firm
you
say-
duplicate, or you would do more in-depth auditing, or you would do?
the audit firm, I think Pat as auditor, should get together and talk about this a little bit and see where the parameters are. Can we go out and look at other people's books, which I assume we can.
Well, the state's given Pat that authority, so.
I was gonna say,
The state's given Pat that authority. It's
But I don't know if
whatever
another
you choose
county,
to do with it.
I don't know if another county now that it actually allocate money to the auditor. Well, Lynn County, it did try, it didn't go. But it is in the code to do. And something, I guess sometimes we're the first in a lot of things. But we need to run a conjunction maybe with our auditors and have the county auditor and our regular auditors work together and work something out and see what can be worked out.
And I have had a discussion with our auditor.
Okay.
I've also had a discussion with the, Mary Mosen, the state auditor, and I've also had a discussion with the executive board of the county auditors. Because I think it is something that is important, and I think that auditors collectively are at risk if they don't pay attention to this new duty that has been bestowed on us. And that's, I'm asking, this is just to start the conversation, and we want the funds to be able to do it and the support.
I think this will be, go ahead.
Well, the Auditors Association somehow dropped the ball on this one that's got passed, because I don't think he wanted that responsibility, or the auditors.
I sat here for years and saw that, this money that walks out the door here, and I've often wondered. And I was told right away, is that from the county attorney's advice, I asked what kind of ability we had to do anything like that. And the previous county attorney said, nothing. He said, you send it through to the board, it's their responsibility. And I haven't seen it. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, and that's, like I say,
you have my support, even though I won't be there.
Well, this will be an interesting discussion too at the state level and the supervisors affiliate as well, because this has not been a topic that I'm aware of that's been necessarily brought up. So maybe at fall school, or next time I go and meet with my colleagues, it'll be just an interesting discussion on if any other county auditors, what they're delving into, how much they're delving into, and what the state feeling is. It would just Be interesting.
Right.
It is a new duty, I guess.
Probably need to be an agenda item on supervisors' agenda for the fall school and the auditors, maybe to get Mary Moslin there.
Yeah,
You know, there, talking
because
about.
there will be,
The
you
pros
know,
and
discussion
cons.
and every board of supervisor will have definite opinions on this, I think, in every county, so.
But at least if they talk to fall school in November, you have time to get it into the budget. It's before budgeting.
we'll
All right.
see. Yeah.
Anything else?
Honestly, that's all good. But Woodbury County, this is the way I interpret it, we've led the way on lots of other things. And I'm going to push forward on it. So,
And nobody has a problem.
Thanks, Brad.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, sir. We've had 2 requests for money today, and they are things that have to be done. But we have to come up with the money, and we are not what you'd call flush with money. So I'm just saying to the board, we have to take that into consideration when we start looking at these things.
Absolutely.
If the money's not there, you can't do it.
Well, the only place we have the money is in reserves, and we can't deplete those completely. So you're absolutely right there.
I do have a question on line items, and maybe I should know this. We are going to save quite a bit of money, I believe, on our courthouse security. Can any of that budgeted money be moved over to the sheriff? Can you do that?
Actually,
To-
that's money we have a general supplemental fund. That is actually going to be paid out of general basic fund. So no.
Okay.
Always looking for where there's pots of money.
Yeah.
I do know there will
Yeah.
be savings on
In
that.
the case of the overtime for these high profile, that's out of general sub, yes, that money could be used as, because if we don't use the money, it goes to reserve. That money could be then transferred over to the overtime for security on the high profile.
So we do have that
Take care of
potential.
problem.
We do.
Absolutely, and there will be some savings there. Absolutely. Okay, I'd entertain a motion to go into executive session for general relief under Iowa Code 21.5, parent 1, parent 8.
Mark, did you have something else? No, I didn't. Thank you. Move it.
There was a motion, there's a second.
Tripp,
Aye.
Munson,
Aye.
Wiggett,
Aye.
Lawson, Smith.
Gloria, I need to see you after.